Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and this evening we'll have a look at the latest from the live radar, then we'll go through the GFS, the GEM, the ECMWF, and we'll finish up with the GFS Ensembles, and we'll have a look at the UKMO Office Run, have a look at precipitation and temperature. Now we do have remnants of Storm Bara over the top of the UK at the moment, and it's looking unsettled over the next week. But beyond that, towards the Christmas period, we are seeing a signal for high pressure blocking to return. Where that block does go is going to decide whether we're seeing some just generally cold, frosty, dry conditions, or whether we see some very cold conditions. And there are even some scenarios where we see some very mild conditions with winds in from the south. So I have to keep an eye really what's happening with that throughout this video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow on Twitter as well, the links in the description. So if you look at the live radar at the moment, you can see the remnants of Storm Bara, and you can see its occluded front. It is now sort of diminishing away. Still got some heavier showers pushing into parts of Northern Ireland, in through the northwest into the North Midlands as well, and some showers down into parts of Wales and central southern England as well. They should slowly be clearing southwards and eastwards, and should eventually disintegrate really away over the next sort of 12 hours. Still some showers packing into the northeast of Scotland, a few turning wintry over the high ground, but generally nothing too major. You may have noticed out today it's been very cold in that bitterly cold northwesterly wind. Really quite a biting wind out there. Temperatures on the thermometer around 4, 5, 6 degrees widely to low-lying areas, but with that wind on top of it, making it feel like freezing quite widely. So very cold day in terms of feel today. It slowly should be rising over the coming days and the coming week, as well as mild conditions eventually do like they will be returning. Now, if we do run through the GFS, see what's happening with that, you can see the remnants of Storm Bara at the moment, slowly sort of diminishing away over the course of the next 12 hours, and then you see low pressure sliding back in off the Atlantic, but returning milder air in from the southwest. Just areas of low pressure moving through, and we do see the signal towards, sort of in a week's time really, high pressure starting to build in the south. Now this is a classic sort of westerly theme with lower pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, but we're actually seeing that high pressure really quite build towards day 10, or from around day 7 to day 10. And you can see it's this big block, but where it goes is going to be deciding what sort of weather we're going to be seeing around Christmas period. You can see initially the high pressure is centred just to our east with a bit of a continental flow, but our upper air temperatures are actually pretty mild. However, towards the surface, it could be really quite chilly, with daytime temperatures in the mid-single digits, overnight temperatures actually becoming frosty, because we can see an inversion, where even though we have milder air at the top of the atmosphere, 850 HPA, or relatively high in the atmosphere, towards the surface, we can still see colder conditions. So we'll have to keep an exact eye on that. Again, it all depends on the exact air mass and the wind direction. If the wind is coming in from the southwest, more towards Spain, Portugal, and from the mid-Atlantic, then it's most likely to be a milder sector of air towards the surface, whereas if it's off the near continent, it's likely to be a little bit chillier. So we'll have to keep an eye on that near the time. But if we do go back to the pressure charts, you can see that high pressure continues sort of milling around, and right towards the end of the run, it just doesn't really budge. And actually, sort of 384 hours, we actually do start to build in high pressure towards Greenland. Now, it's not going majorly cold, we're actually still relatively mild, but colder air is sinking out of the Arctic. Again, it all depends on where the high pressure goes. On this current run, it would be a balmy Christmas Eve with southwesterly winds, temperatures into the low teens, but very subtle shifts in where the high pressure is, especially with this blocking appearing towards Greenland as well, can change this quite dramatically. So high pressure definitely does look like it's going to be building for the second half of December, but where it goes and its exact orientation and whether we see it become proper northern blocking is still yet to be determined. And as we'll see with the GFS Ensembles at the end of the video, you'll see from around the 15th to the 20th of December is looking pretty mild with the upper air conditions. But beyond that, a lot of the ensemble members are actually dipping towards average, if not below average, symbolic of potentially a colder air mass returning for many of the ensembles. So, as we'll see that at the end of the video, you can see it's still a bit up in the air what is going to be happening with this high pressure. It does definitely look like high pressure will be the main theme. So if you are looking forward to some drier conditions. This will definitely be coming, but temperatures and if we see potentially some snow and some frosty conditions will all depend on the exact air mass. Now, if we do have a look at the GM, see how it does compare. You see storm bar filling in at the moment, and then generally things are westerly again. Towards day 10, we start to build high pressure up, and once again, similar to the GFS, it's a bit of a balmy south to southwesterly wind. But you can see we are actually it's a bit more balmy and southwesterly than on the GFS, where the GFS is a bit more of a continental flow. Again, slightly shifty orientation can make drastic differences. But you can see the high pressure is ridging towards the North Pole and towards Greenland and Wales. We do have a look at the northern hemisphere. You can see a bit of blocking towards Svalbard as well. We'd have to see this high pressure really penetrate the North Pole if we were going to see any massive cold. But if we did have a look at the 850 HPA temperature, you can see a massive cold pool is sitting towards Siberia, Russia, even into parts of Scandinavia potentially. So we did get this high pressure properly going to our north, and see this ridge builds much further northwards, we would be going much, much colder. So we'll have to keep an eye really on what happens with the high pressure. You can see there's very strong consensus of this high pressure building in the next 7 to 10 days, but where it goes, if it does go and turn cold, is still yet to be determined. Now, if we have a look at the ECMWF, see how it does compare again, you can see storm Bara moving away, and then generally things going quite westerly. You can see again around day 7 to day 10 high pressure building in, very strong high pressure, and towards day 10 once again similar. We have a sort of a south to southwesterly wind, quite warm upper air temperatures, and again all depends on the exact flow of the winds on whether it will be cold or milder. But again, if we have a look at the northern hemisphere, look, really quite cold air to our northeast, and if we have a look at the pressure charts, you can see actually we do have a big Arctic high developing, and some high pressure towards Svalbard, and a bit towards Greenland as well, potentially a split in the tropospheric polar vortex. Now, there's nothing definitively showing this. If we've had a stratospheric warming, for example, we would be saying potentially this is a consequence of this big high pressure building in, and potentially some blocking towards the Arctic. But we haven't seen a stratospheric warming, so this would just be a naturally occurring blocking pattern, one that would not be definitively forecast well far ahead. So we could be looking at the first hints of some big northern blocking, or it could just be the ECMWF overhyping some of the blocking towards the end of the run, and we just see this high pressure milling around Europe, giving it quite a mild end to December. Again, it all depends on exactly where the high pressure is and its orientation. So we'll have to keep an eye really on what happens with that. Now, lastly, for the longer range, if we do have a look at the 850 HP temperature and precipitation from the GFS Ensembles, you can see pretty chilly at the moment. It stays around or below average for the next couple of days. Before around the 11th to 12th of December, we see a big rise in upper air temperatures, and we stay around or above average generally all the way from around 12th of December all the way to about the 20th. Beyond that, as we head to the days leading up to Christmas, you can see that drop in upper air conditions. You see the GFS Operational Run is actually a real mild outlier, really quite warm on the Christmas Eve, because a lot of the ensemble members are returned to around average, if not going quite far below average, typically symbolising potentially colder air mass moving back in. Now, of course, that high pressure mills around in the over Europe and towards northern Europe, potentially getting up towards Scandinavia, maybe the North Atlantic, then we could start to see north to northeasterly or easterly winds moving in, and we would have inevitably start to draw in a colder air mass. So, again, as I've said throughout this video, all depends on the positioning and the orientation of that high. If we do have a look at the sea level pressure, you can see that signal right towards the middle of the run. You can see low pressure at the moment, but rising quite swiftly around the 14th, 15th of December to a pretty strong high, around 1,030, 1,040 millibars. Big high pressure system that is going to be dominating weather throughout the middle of the month. And again, towards the end of the run, you can see some going much high pressure, some going lower pressure, showing the consensus is not out for December, or the end of December. So if you are seeing anyone saying it's going to be a massive southerly wind for Christmas, or balmy Christmas, you can see by these ensemble members that, let alone the sort of air mass, is nowhere near decided beyond even like the 15th of December. The pressure charts or the general pressure pattern isn't either. So we've still got a lot to change. High pressure building over the top of the UK and to the north is potentially a good sign for some northern blocking. Again, though, all depends on what happens with it. Now, if we have a look at Glasgow, you can see, again, similar to the pressure charts, you can London, you can see the pressure is very high throughout the middle of the month. Not as high early on, as we do have low pressure building in, low pressure maintaining its strength over the next sort of 5 days or so, but towards the middle of the month, towards sort of the 17th, 18th of December, really quite high pressure, and then of course in the longer term things dip down. But look at the upper air temperatures, you can see quite a lot of up and down. Typical zonal pattern, warmer, colder sectors moving through. Decent amount of precipitation as well. Towards the middle of the month, you can see quite a warm air mass. A good sort of 3, 4, 5 degrees, potentially above average. And limited precipitation from around the 16th to sort of the 19th, 20th of December. Again, that will iron that out nearer the time as the ensemble members do sort of converge on scenarios a bit better. And towards the end of the run, of course, you can see some colder runs starting to appear. Again, all depends on the orientation and exact position of the high. Now, if we finally finish up, have a look at the UKMO run. We'll run through the next 5 days, have a look at precipitation, and then we'll have a look at temperature as well. You can see the showers moving through over the course of this evening. We'll slowly sort of peter away overnight tonight. Still a few showers around tomorrow morning, and then we see a weather front push in by tomorrow afternoon. Potentially heavy rain for tomorrow evening, quite widely, and maybe some snow over the Scottish Highlands. Beyond that, we do see more showers pack in, maybe a wintry of nature, especially in the north. Nothing too crazy through Friday afternoon into early hours of Saturday before another weather front pushing through, potentially bringing some very heavy rain and maybe some more hill snow potentially across Scotland. But generally, it's going to be mild conditions from the weekend. And you can see once again another low pressure does spin in. Again, we could be seeing some windy conditions with this, and if we did see some more cyclogenesis, we could be a named storm, but I'm not seeing any of that particularly distinctively on the latest models. So not looking like there's going to be any massive stormy weather, just generally unsettled and low pressure dominated. And towards Monday, more heavier rain in the south. Now, if we have a look at the max temperatures, you can see today temperatures were pretty chilly, around sort of 5, 6, maybe 7 degrees in the far south, feeling a lot colder than that. Tonight, temperatures will drop away in the north to around freezing, widely though 4, 5, 6 degrees in the south, not really changing too much from the daytime temperatures. Thursday afternoon, maybe again 5, 6, 7 degrees in the south, maybe a bit milder for the far southwest and parts of the Republic of Ireland. Through Thursday evening into the early hours of Friday, you can see it does turn quite chilly in the north with a more widespread frost across northern England and a lot of Scotland, a few areas in Wales, maybe Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland going towards freezing again, but many areas staying around 3 or 4 degrees. By Friday afternoon, once again, 4 or 5 degrees, so a bit chillier than today and Thursday. And then Friday night, could see a more widespread frost with temperatures widely getting around to freezing or 1 degree before milder air just push in for Saturday. And by Saturday evening, temperatures around 11 or 12 degrees, quite widely in the south. And through Sunday and Monday, again, 10, 11, 12 degrees. So turning more autumnal than wintry and less seasonable than we've had recently. Again, 4, 5, 6 degrees isn't cold enough for snow by any means, but it's a lot more seasonable than 10, 11, 12 degrees, which would be pretty mild indeed. So yeah, looking pretty chilly over the next couple of days, then turning a lot milder and turning still quite unsettled for the middle of the month. But of course, yeah, as I said, milder. And then beyond sort of 15th of December, maybe 14th, 15th December, in the south, starting to build in high pressure, and looks like it's going to be dominating from 15th to the 20th. Beyond that, and its exact orientation and positioning, we'll decide whether it stays over the top of the UK with a potentially cold and frosty theme for a time, or maybe a bit of a milder theme depending on exact orientation and exact air mass and wind direction. And if it does move northwards, we could start to see something a little bit colder for Christmas and the festive period in general. And of course, long range forecasts are actually have been favouring blocking towards the end of the month. So we'll have to see really what happens with it. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.